So let's get started with overviewing some of these sections on the left-hand side menu. We're going to start with the default. So the default, when you log in, the default page is Insights. Insights is a great way to overview or get a bird's eye view, really, of what's going on with your team and the firm in general. This is according to the features that TaxDome has integrated. For example, if I look at this feed that I have edited, by the way, I am able to manage some of these items and what I view, and I can drag and drop them if I desire to. The first thing that I'm looking at is a pending client activity. So I have these pending invoices, organizers, pending signatures, proposals to be signed, approvals, etc. I can view this and be able to see what's going on with my team, what's going on with everything in general. This will make sense to you once we cover a couple of other topics. However, again, you can see everything in a general view. This is the edit section that you just saw, but generally you will see this. You will see team members, or you can look at stats for yourself only. Generally, you want to look at everything because probably everything's important to have awareness of anything that's pending, planned, overdue, etc. So please explore this on your own when you have a chance so that you can tailor how you want the insights to look like. Again, you can edit widgets and click on add widgets and manipulate it even further for more tailoring. Jumping into Inbox Plus. When it comes to how you know when clients reach out to you or complete something that you've been waiting for them to do, your Inbox Plus will be your best friend. Don't think of it as a regular inbox. Please do not confuse it as your email inbox. The plus makes it so much more. It's really a notification center so that you know what's going on with clients. If there is a client that signed a document, you will see it here and it will tell you this client just signed this document. This client has, an invoice that was paid, for example. This client filled out an organizer. So there's all of these items. You'll see these icons that represent different actions that your client has done. And this also gives you notifications on items that are assigned to you as well. You may be able to archive these if you already feel that you don't want to see them. You can archive them for yourself. They'll go into the archive section, or you can archive for everyone, which means that they'll be archived for all of the team, which means they won't have visibility on these items either. So you have the power to do that. You can't really delete these as they are a permanent record, but archiving them just gives you a nice historical data so you can come back and research, hey, when did my client sign something? You can quickly filter and filter by the notification type, and you can filter by account. So this is the Inbox Plus. Let's go into our client section. I'll dive in more deeper in this section once we start talking about our client list and look at how to create a test account. However, just generally, this is where you see your client list. We have an account list and then contacts. We'll talk about briefly a little bit later on why those two items are classified as they are. But for now, just know that this is where you can look up your clients. Not only do these sections that I'm covering have a search function, they also have a filter as well. And most of the sections in TaxDome have this ability, has these features so that you can quickly search. This is, again, the client section. In the reporting section is where you can have tailored reports. don't have too much data to show you, but essentially when you generate also a lot of data, maybe after a couple of months, you'll be able to tailor reports and you can pretty much type in what you're looking for. And the system's AI will generate reports for you and it will give you as many examples of reports that you can tailor further on. Again, this is our reporting section, and you can do many things with reporting. Essentially, you want to do them after there is data in the system, like you've been working with clients for a month or two, but generally after 6 months, you will have robust data to pull reports on. And again, this is our reporting section. And if you need to know more, you can click on how it works and it will take you to a Help Center article that you can also look up here if you type in reports. Let's look at our workflow. In the workflow, this is where you're going to spend most of your time because of pipelines and tasks that are assigned to you. We'll talk more about that in detail later on in the series. I know you probably want to know everything now, but we want to go slowly so that you understand the baseline of TaxDome, how everything functions, and we will get settled into the workflow section more in depth in the next couple of sessions. In the workflow here, you'll have something called tasks. You'll have jobs, job recurrences, pipelines, and calendar. Tasks, as a brief overview, is something that is assigned to you and your team. That's pretty much what it is an internal item that needs to be completed. Jobs are adding accounts to a pipeline. Job recurrences is scheduling something ahead of time to happen in the future in a repetitive way. Those are ideal, for example, monthly bookkeeping or payrolling or doing something on some sort of repetitive basis. Pipelines, this is where you'll see your pipelines and you have a calendar view of tasks and jobs. This calendar view, you cannot integrate it with the outside world. It's just a calendar view for any tasks that you have assigned to yourself or the team or any jobs that have due dates. This is going to be ideal to verify what's going on in the week, in the month, according to tasks and jobs. Again, we'll get more into depth with these items once we touch upon pipelines. But for now, I just want to give you a general review of this. Again, most of these sections have a search and filter so that you can quickly find these items. We have our document section in which you can look up all documents in general from clients and that have been recently uploaded. And you'll be able to quickly go to the account for that document. Although each client has their own sections, and we'll cover them shortly, in which you can go into their document section. This gives you just a general overview of the recent document manipulation or uploads that you have done with your client. The wiki section, these are internal items that you can create, internal instructions for you and your team. You probably have it blank on your end, but you can create instructions that will allow for your team to understand what steps they need to take and certain processes that you follow. All right, so in the organizer section, organizers are forms that your client can fill out, right? If you're not familiar with the term organizers, it's kind of like general Google Forms, for example, that I can compare this to. And this is where your client will update their information, address, they can upload documents and be able to provide you with the essential information that you will require to process, for example, a tax return. In this section, again, we have filtering and we have search. Our billing section is also a general section to view all invoices. You may view general invoices that are paid, overdue. We do have filters if you want specifically to see only paid invoices, or maybe partially paid, or anything that's scheduled in the future. Scheduled in the future means that these are called recurring invoices, which means you can schedule something to happen in the future 6 months in a row. So I scheduled an invoice charging my client or invoicing them the first of the month for the next 6 months. Those are called recurring invoices. We also have time entries, in which if you look up at the upper right hand corner, you can create time entries for yourself, or your team can create time entries according to what they are working on. So if I want to start a time entry right now according to this client, I can start a timer that says that I'm working on a project for this client, and we can bill the client at a later time. So this is ideal if you have this kind of process with your firm. You can also track everything that has a lot of time entries. These are called work in progress. So you can bill your client for maybe 5, 6, 7 time entries at a time, and you can create an invoice immediately here. You'll also find our proposals in here, or engagement letters that have been assigned. Again, this is all that has been assigned recently, but you can always go to their accounts and see these on an individual level. And these are payments, similar to invoices. These are just the paid invoices that have been processed. Now let's go to activity feed. This section here is mostly for you as a firm owner or your admin team to be able to track who has logged in at what time, even your client's login history, and you can click on login and see, who logged in, who the user is, and be able to track this immediately. It might be useful for you, especially have a lot of employees as well, to track their logins. Our template section is where we will hyper focus a lot when we're building out a pipeline. Not only a pipeline, but setting up things in general. So I'm not going to hyper focus too much on this, because this is where we'll be coming back to when we're building out some of our pipelines. But just know, if you ever need to create a template for an email, for example, that you will be sending quite often, see the email tab, and you can look at the libraries that we have for some of these sections. We have a free library in which you can download samples of verbiage or samples of whatever you are looking for. And in this case, you can also create your own templates from scratch. So this is ideal for you to manage some of the items that you will be using for your pipelines, generally using some of these chats templates that you can message your client. You can do client requests. We'll talk about that later. Organizers, you can create them. Tasks, and we talked about tasks, but you can create templates if they are repetitive tasks that need to be repeated every so often, especially in a pipeline. So we'll talk about those a little bit more later on. All right. And we do have a section called Growth Solution. These are items that are especially geared toward your business. If you'd like to explore this and see if some of these items are, adhere to your business needs, please explore them. They will just simply help you in your business, especially if you need certain coverages, right? Like insurance. We have perks in which you can get discounts by having TaxDome with our partners here.